in every sense, right? They're a sovereign, we're a sovereign. Now, there's the supremacy clause in the U.S. Constitution, and I get all that, but the court said that the federal government can persuade states to take action. They can't coerce states to take action. And they found specifically Obamacare was a coercion of states, and I think we need to engage in more of that kind of litigation if the federal government continues to do that. But let me give you a perfect example. Education. Right? I mean, I think and I could be wrong, but I think it's roughly about 10% or so comes from the federal government. The rest of it we fund as a state, but that federal funding comes with so many strings and so many burdens and so many regulations. But I think that we have to take a really strong look at that. Now, someone's going to say to you, well, where are you going to replace that money, and how are you going to do that? As a state, we need to decide, are we going to be a sovereign? Are we going to be able to control our own destiny and come up with ways for us to fund our own education and fund our own state programs, or are we going to continue relying on federal government? So I think the concept that you raise is absolutely right, which is, if we're going to be a sovereign, we need to be a sovereign, we need to find ways to fund our programs, and we don't always have to rely on the federal government for everything. Thank you, Tom.
Are there any other questions? Ken Kopi.
Thank you, Mark. It's good to see you again. The last time you were here, I thanked you for your pro bono for opposing Obamacare, and I thank you again.
Thank you.
More often than not, we Republicans spend more time fighting each other than we do the opposite side.
Right.
But having said that, I'm wondering, why didn't you sign the questionnaire from the Republican Party as some of our other leaders have not?
Well, first off, let me thank you for the question and the point. I believe in Ronald Reagan's adage. I believe if you and I agree on 80% of the issues, you and I are friends, and you're an ally. You're not a 20% traitor. I believe in that adage. I believe that's the way Ronald Reagan won. And I believe that's the way the Republican Party will win on a go-forward basis. And so, are we going to agree or disagree about some things? Absolutely. Are there going to be disagreements we have in our party? Yes. But let's not kill each other in the process. Let's lock arms and go beat the Democrats. Now, why is it that I wouldn't fill out the questionnaire? Why is it that I'm inclined not to go before the state party committee? Because there are open supporters of my opponent who have done a lot of work for her campaign and who have openly supported her campaign. And I'm just not interested in a process that's stacked against me. And that's why I'm not going to participate in the process.
Mark, we talked briefly at a luncheon.
Yes.
And I mentioned Yucca Mountain, and you were not that informed on it. We had a seminar here, and I invited the governor to have a representative to state his position. He said he would do so, but he did not. Can we have an hour of your time for three of us to talk to you about Yucca Mountain? Because if you're talking about a development in Nevada that'll bring jobs, this is so-called shovel-ready with money there to use.
Are you sure you want to use that term?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yes, the answer is yes. I'll be happy to sit down and talk to you about that, Don. But let me just give you my thoughts about this. I'll give it to you right now. Okay, you've all been in this state as long as I have. Many of you have been, generations. Every state leader has opposed Yucca Mountain and high-level radioactive waste, and that's just been a non-starter. So why don't we think about other alternatives for that $1 billion or $2 or $5 billion hole in the ground out there? And let me tell you one of the intriguing things that has been brought to my attention. I'm not smart enough to think about this, but I like the idea and see what you all think, and I'm happy to talk about any of these things with you. But down in Southern Nevada is perfectly situated for the storage, this large storage and these large servers of data processes and data storage requirements like Google and eBay and those kind of things, and they are already storing that kind of information. As I've talked with them and the owners and the developers and the executives in that area of commerce, they said one of the things we could do is we could use Yucca Mountain to create the most safe, secure civil system, right, for businesses and for industry to store their data. We just take running high capacity fiber optic lines up into the Yucca Mountain area, and for now, using that at least for a productive way of using that facility up there. So that's one idea that somebody's talked about. I'm open to a lot of ideas. Right now, I think someone once said, figure out reality and deal with it. The reality right now is, are you going to get any state leaders who are going to come out publicly and say, yeah, let's ship radioactive waste there? And the answer is no, you're not. I mean, we've seen generations of Nevada state leaders not do that. So I think In the interim, though, we got to think about what we can do to make it productive. But Don, I'm happy to sit down with you and talk to you more about it.
Good. I don't want to debate it here.
Right.
But I would like you to have an open mind and let us tell you that it's not a radioactive dump.
Okay.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy to have an open mind.
Thank you.
You bet.
I'd like to thank Mark. He has to leave now to try to catch a flight back to Las Vegas. Now, we thank you very much, Mark. By the way, before we ask Chuck Reno some questions, I think we should have Patty Cafarata stand up. She was the first lady state treasurer. Patty. All right, now if you have questions for Chuck Reno, fire away.
Fire away. No, I used to live in Sparks. No, it is. I was born and raised here. My last name's really Reno. Like I said, I'm a 5th generation Nevadan. My father, it's a funny story. It's not really on my father's side, but his father came down, worked in the mines of Virginia City. He was born in Virginia City, and away you go. So yes, and I am related to the namesake, so great-great-great-uncle, so yes. What's that?
Any other questions?
Any questions of Chuck?
Any questions? With that in mind,
Well, hey,
go ahead.
there's got to be some questions. Come on, guys.
Come on, you have to have a question. Could be your next Reno mayor.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And you know, I failed to mention that I have met within the last couple of weeks the mayor of Reno. I met with him, sat down with him, the mayor of Sparks, the city manager, the city finance director. I sit down with these people because, look, they're the ones in power now, and they're helping to shape the future. And as the next mayor, you better know who they are, and you better